Hey everybody, so today we're going to look at the types of costs in the short run, and the short run is when capital is fixed. Okay, so the three main types of costs, right? So we had total fixed cost, so this is TFC abbreviated, right? So these are the costs that are not going to change with a change in Q, right? So the costs that do, oh, you can't see that, not change when Q changes, right? So as we increase production, these are the costs that are not going to change, right? The second one, this is going to be our total variable cost, right? Total variable costs, TVC, right? So these are going to be costs that do change, right? Costs that change when there's an increase in Q, right? Or as Q changes. So as you increase production, the more you produce, the higher these costs are most likely going to be, right? And then last one here in this group, right? This is our total costs, TC, right? And this is easy. This is just these two added together. So this is a total fixed cost plus our total variable costs. Right, so fixed costs are going to be things like rent, right? Whereas variable costs are going to be things like wage, so how much you pay your workers. So let's look at an example real quick. So in this example, we're going to be given rent is $50 per month. And then we're also given that labor is $15 per hour per worker, right? So, and then we have capital K, L is labor, Q, how much we produce, total fixed cost, total variable cost, and total cost, right? So this information is going to be given to you in a problem, right? So I'm just going to make these up. So K is going to be 1. Since we're in the short run, K is the same, right? Labor, we have 0, 1, 2, producing 0, 5, 12, right? So we're trying to figure out these things. We're going to figure out what is the total fixed cost, what is the total variable cost, what is the total cost. Okay, so we know that rent is $50 a month, right? And total fixed costs are going to be things like rent, right? You're going to be paying that every single month. So it's just 50 throughout, right? And then variable cost. So the variable cost is going to be the wage times the number of workers employed, right? So in this case, the wage is $15 an hour. How many people are employed? 0. Right, so this is just 0 because we're multiplying, nobody's employed times $15, right? The first worker, 1 person's employed, paying them 15, right? This is just 1 times 15. And then for the third one, right, we have 2 people employed, we're paying them each $15 an hour. 2 times 15 is 30. Right, it's as simple as that. Variable cost is, this is the wage times the number of people employed. Right, maybe I'll put this here. So this is wage times number of L, number of labor. Right, and then total cost is easy. It's just these two added together. So it's 50 plus 0 is 50. 50 plus 15 is 65. 50 plus 30 is 80. All right, and then from there it gets a little bit more complicated. So from there we're going to introduce averages. So how do we find, almost going to move the page down. How do we find the averages, right? So we have 3 types of averages, right? So we have the average fixed cost, the average variable cost, and the average total cost. I'll scooch down. I realize I can't see that, right? So what is our average fixed cost? Well, it's just going to be our total fixed cost divided by Q. Right, and our average variable cost is just going to be a total variable cost divided by Q. Same goes for our average total cost. It's going to be our TC divided by Q. Right, so this is pretty straightforward with finding averages. So let's find the averages for what we have above here. Move this down just a bit. Okay, I'm going to put the columns like, I'll put them here. So average fixed cost, right? Average variable cost, I'll put like a little line right there. Average variable cost and average total cost, right? So this is going to line up. This is our total fixed cost, average fixed cost, total variable cost, average variable cost, total cost, average total cost. Right, so we're just going to be using these formulas to calculate these columns here, right? All right, so for average fixed cost, right, we're going to look at our total fixed cost divided by Q. So it's just going to be 50 divided by 0, right? You can leave that. That's just, it's like undefined because it's over 0, right? So it's just, it doesn't exist, right? And then what about our average fixed cost for the second one? So we have 50 divided by Q, right? TFC divided by Q is 50 divided by 5. This should give me 10, right? And then for the last one, I'm going to have 50 divided by 12, right? Because I'm taking this 50 here divided by the Q, and that is 4.17. That's a 4. It looks like a 9. ABC, right? Average variable cost is going to be the same thing. Instead of total fixed cost divided by Q, we're going to do total variable cost divided by Q, right? So total variable cost divided by Q, this is just 0 divided by 0, undefined. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 30 divided by 12, that is 2.5. Right, all I'm doing was total variable cost divided by Q, total variable cost divided by Q, total variable cost divided by Q. And then the same for average total cost, 50 divided by 0, right? Because I'm dividing my total cost by the quantity, 50 divided by 0, total cost is 65 divided by 5, should be 13. All right, and then the last one, 80 divided by 12 is going to be 6.67. Right, so it's pretty straightforward. I'm finding, you know, total fixed cost and total variable cost. These things you're going to have to figure out from the rent and the wage, right? And knowing how much labor is employed. Total cost is just adding the two together. Then the averages is as simple as dividing what you had up here divided by Q for each, you know, line. And then you were able to calculate that from there. And then the last thing is the marginal cost. Right, so this is just the additional cost from producing one more unit. Right, one more Q. And then the formula for that, this is just marginal cost is equal to the change in total cost over the change in Q. Right, so for here, if you were to calculate the marginal cost, it would just be 65 minus 50 divided by 5 minus 0, right? And then you can do that again, so it's like 80 minus 65 divided by 12 minus 15. Like, it's just a pattern that like follows as you go further down. And those are the main types of costs that you're going to want to know for the chapter. Hopefully this was helpful.